Sorry. Thank you very much for all your thoughts. In terms of, you shared that a lot of Australians are not able to fund their own retirement because a lot of them are still on the age pension. And if you compare to what is being contributions into super is 12%. Now, if you compare to other countries, I'm from Malaysia, so Malaysia and Singapore, in Malaysia it's 25% from the employee and a combination from the employer and the employer. In Singapore, it's 40%. So what level of contribution do you think should be in this country where a lot more Australians will be self-funded in their retirement?
There's been, the Jeremy Cooper review and other reviews have talked about theoretical numbers which will get that up. It's a lot more, it's like 20-ish percent. Malaya and Singapore are very high. Singapore is a good case where I was born years ago. No one owns a house in Singapore. It's welfare, it's government-owned housing. I mean, the rich up Orchard Road, they own 20, 30, 40, $50 million houses, but the average worker, which is all of us, don't own houses in Singapore. It's in their government-run fund, future fund. So it's just a different way of doing it. Now, Singapore is a dictatorship, so in Australia we've got something called a democracy, and you've got all these parties. So it's so therefore the solution has got to be consensus among all these parties and all the citizens. So it's quite a different decision process in our country. It's worked well. It's got $3 trillion. The thing supporting share markets and supporting CBA price, whatever it is nowadays, MAD price, is just 11.5% going in every day. It's got to go somewhere. It goes into CBA shares. So it's been good for us, but I suspect my view has been that the fact that we have a multi-party democracy and a lot of grey votes now with their vested interest in these. You look at what Bill Shorten did 5 years ago. He lost the election on the grey vote, trying to introduce scale-back franking credits. Division 296 it's 80,000 people, and people don't get it yet, and nobody in Labor actually gets it. It'll come in some shape or form, but I suspect the grey vote and the fact that we're all interested in this, and we all see it as our own wealth. In Singapore, it'll just come when it comes. It's not seen as your own personal account, like I say, a 401k is in the US. In Australia, we're more like the US model, where it's actually our money, don't touch it. So I think that's going to be harder to get reform.
Actually, I think Ben was going to take that one.
Yeah, look, a few comments. Number one, let's not kid ourselves that a self-funded retiree is not getting any welfare. The amount of tax concessions we have built into superannuation system is, certainly for those clients, is far bigger than they'd ever get on the age pension, and through a long period of time, right? So it's not like there's a bucket of money here which is for poor people and the rest is for the taxpayers or something. It all comes from the taxpayers. Whether you call it an age pension or a superannuation tax concession. And sorry, and I'm not knocking the tax concessions by any means. I'm not knocking it, but I'm just saying we call it self-funded, but it's those big superannuation balances and the tax-free incomes is still very, very much supported by the taxpayer, and I don't have a problem with that. Number two, the retirement income review actually analysed it and said, and this is back when SG was about 10%, they said we didn't need to increase SG to 12. They said we'd get far better outcomes if we just help retirees to spend the capital that's there as opposed to increasing the SG. And so that's why you've got this focus on more efficient vehicles to actually spend the capital. That's what we're trying to do at North with these lifetime solutions. They just spend the capital. And they do it in a much more efficient way than old school annuities, because you don't have to reserve capital and make expensive guarantees. It just pays it out at higher rates with a little bit of support from insurer to make sure it never runs out. But of course, you don't put all your money into it. To the point you made before, the retirement income covenant. One of the objectives is flexible access to capital, and so there's no silver bullet that's going to solve all the needs. That's why you want a couple of tools in the toolbox. So 3 ideally. You got some sort of flexible income source, like an account-based pension. You got a lifetime income source as a bedrock, is never going to run out, and then supported by the age pension, where it makes sense. And to the question before, are they ever going to mandate it? Yeah, it's political suicide. You need some sort of crisis, but it's hard not to see that proposal coming back at various points into the future as perhaps younger generations think the retirees is having it too good or something.